We're making a project for history in school. It's about immigration, and since your parents are immigrants from Iran, we thought it would be nice to have you on our project. But first, would you first like to tell something about yourself?
Yes, my name is Kimia. I am 18 years old. I was born in Amsterdam and I live in Amsterdam. I'm Persian and yes, I'm in the 6th class of Athenaeum.
Okay, that's very nice. But first off, what is the reason your parents chose to leave Iran?
The reason was because they were against the regime in Iran and they didn't want to be forced to be Muslim, and they just wanted more freedom.
Okay, so they fled from the Muslim theocracy that after the revolution was installed in Iran.
Everyone had to wear a hijab, and yes, we were just forced to read the Quran and be a Muslim, and just freedom was very.
There was no freedom in general. Could you say that?
Yes, limited, but very limited.
Very limited freedom. But you say the government mandated you to, or they forced you to wear a hijab or read the Quran. What would happen to you if you choose to don't do those things?
Well, if I would go to Iran and I would take off my hijab, well, there's always some kind of police on the streets. It's called Zedenpolitie, and they check if everyone is behaving correctly and wearing the right clothes and the right, with the rules.
Yeah.
And for example, I think a couple of years ago you couldn't even wear red lipstick or something. You couldn't have too much makeup, but now that's all a little bit less strict. But still, if you take off your hijab, you go to the police and to I don't know exactly, but I think you go to jail maybe for a few days or something. I don't know exactly.
Okay, but you don't go to jail for years, or
no.
It's not that bad. Okay, and your parents chose to go eventually to leave Iran.
Yes.
Were they involved in politics in Iran? Were they
Yes.
involved in the government?
They were against the government, so they were against the regime, and because the regime was very, very Islamic, just like it is now, and they were in the opposition. So yes, what they did was they did like opposition stuff, like spreading papers against the
resistance
regime.
paper.
Yes, yes. And for example, my mother would teach kids English, but in that time it was against the law. Like in Iran, it was not.
You weren't allowed to speak
Yes,
English.
you weren't allowed to learn English or speak English.
Okay. So your parents chose to leave, and they chose for the Netherlands.
Yes.
Why, out of all countries, a place so far away?
Well, first of all, because the Netherlands is one of the most free countries there is. So a lot of people who are, for example, gay or turned Christian or something went to the Netherlands from Iran. And my parents came here because it's very free, and you can it's like freedom of speech and everything. And also because in that time Netherlands was one of the less expensive countries to go to because you have to get smuggled there.
Oh, your parents were smuggled into the country.
Yes.
Do you know anything about that, or could you tell something
No, I
about
don't
that?
know exactly, but I know it was with. They came with planes. With the plane.
Oh, so it wasn't, yeah, like today, like they crossed the Mediterranean Sea.
Oh no.
It was relatively safe.
Yes.
Okay. You probably mean that they illegally fled from Iran. If they were caught, they would be punished for that.
Yes.
You personally think of the international isolation that the world imposes to Iran?
Well, of course, it makes me a little bit sad because it makes it very hard for people. Like, for example, a water bottle. In Iran, you can drink from the tap.
Yeah.
So you always buy water bottles. For example, one water bottle that's like the cheapest thing that you could get at the grocery store. It's now more than 12 times as expensive as it was first.
And
So
do you
that's
know
to
how
give you
much
an
it is
idea.
in dollars or euros?
No,
Bottled water.
no, because in Iran you're Toma, but I don't know exactly how much it was. But I know that it's 12 times, more than 12 times, as it was before.
So standard living conditions are getting so expensive
Yes.
that people, yes, that they see no way out from
Yes,
the present.
it's just for some families it's just very hard to come around. But not only are the groceries very expensive and things like that, but people lose their jobs, things like that, because they can export um, their products. So some companies have to close, and also, for example, some people have medication that's not produced in Iran, so they import it from elsewhere. But now with the sanctions, that's also cancelled. So some people are also without medication.
Are the medicines sanctioned as well?
Yes,
Wow.
not all of them, but for example, yes, I saw something on TV a couple weeks ago. A little girl in Iran, and she had an illness that if you touch her, then her skin is so soft that when you touch it, it starts bleeding. And for that, she needed a medication, but she couldn't get it.
You said that the Iranian population at large does not have a immense hatred for America, but do they have that for, or don't they have that for Israel, or do they have it for Israel?
Well, if I'm speaking about my own experience, what I've seen is that, like you said, they don't really feel a lot of hate towards America itself, but yes, they don't really like Israel that much because the way that in their education system, how they learn about Israel is just very different from how we learn. It's just from a different perspective. And I think that really affects the way people look at it. But yes, they, yes, they feel hate towards Israelis.
Okay, and is there a lot of anti-Semitism, for example, among the Iranian population, or isn't it that big of a deal?
Well, what I do know is, but it's mostly because it's not that the people hate Israelis naturally. It's just the government has kind of brainwashed them, and in the books they write that Hitler is good in the school books. Or in the books they write that Israel is very bad and things like that. You even have party days. You know, how you call that? Traditional days like Christmas.
Holidays,
Yeah, holidays.
national holidays.
Where they make dolls from Israeli people and they burn it, or like they burn the Israeli flag. And for example, there's one square where there's a flag from Iran on the ground, and it's especially made there because a lot of people pass every day, so it's like disrespect. Like people wipe their feet on the flag of Israel, but for example, that's only I think because of the government. Because my nephew he came to live here recently, and now his best friend is Israeli,
Wow.
and he came from Israel as well.
Okay, so it's not that deep as the people who
No.
the people who are on opposing sides in the Middle East are friends here.
Yes, if you get out of that mindset that there is, then you see that Israeli people aren't that bad.
Israel and Iran, together with Saudi Arabia and America, are fighting lots of proxy wars. They are basically not fighting each other directly, but through militias in like Syria and Yemen. And for these military activities, the Iranian general Soleimani was killed by the Americans.
Yes.
What do you think of this assassination?
Well, it was very a shock for Iranian people because Soleimani is the second most powerful person in Iran after the Ayatollah. But I think it's just for a lot of people in Iran, he's like a very important person. But I think it's just part of the war or between the hate between America and Iran. I think if someone from if a leader from Iran got a chance to kill Trump, he would do it too.
Yeah.
So it's just
Or do you think the assassination was justified? Whether it's justifiable or it was more morally right to do so, or because they are sort of in a war with each other?
no, I don't think it's justified because it was very out of nowhere. I know that he was preparing something against America. I don't know exactly, but especially to do it on Iraqi grounds, it's very very offending. I find because it's Sufaranita from Iraq and
Sovereignty.
yes.
Okay, we've talked a lot. Thank you about your cooperation with our project.
You're welcome.
My final question would be, what's your most kaasstoptrait or persoonlijke eigenschap in Dutch? And what's your most Iranian trait?
Well, in Iran, for example, if you go to a restaurant, at the time that it's time for paying the bill, everyone is like fighting. No, I want to pay the bill. No, I want to pay the bill. But so that's very in contrast with in the Netherlands where you're picky and everyone has to pay each other back and things like that. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Well, thank you for your cooperation
No
again,
problem.
and yeah, thanks again.